Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today's video, I'm going to be ranking all of the Slayer creatures from worst to best. Now, I'm going to only look at the Slayer creatures that Laniakea does assign, and she is the highest level Slayer Master. So do keep that in mind. I'm not going to go over a lot of the lower level Slayer creatures, mostly because they're obviously not that great, but also it would make the video a bit too long if I did talk about every single Slayer creature in the game. So I'm only going to be looking at the Slayer creatures that Laniakea does assign, and there are quite a few of them. Now, if you guys do enjoy this video and this style of video, let me know in the comments down below. I want to make more videos like this, and if you guys do like this video, that'll be a good indication whether I should make more of them or not. But anyway guys, I really hope you do enjoy this video, and if you do, hit that thumbs up button and subscribe, and let's get into the video. So starting off, we're going to look at some information before I go into the actual rankings. So first off, I will be ranking these creatures based on my perspective, and I will be considering the XP per hour, GP per hour, also the Slayer level required, and if they can be AFK'd or not. And also the XP per hour and GP per hour are estimates based on my experience if I don't specify. And the purpose for this video is just to give an idea to players as to which Slayer tasks are generally better, and I really hope you guys do enjoy. I'm going to be ranking each Slayer task into 5 different categories ranked S through D. D being bad, which means basically block these tasks, and S being amazing, which would be the tasks that I would normally put on my prefer list. So now that we got through the basics, we're going to look at Section D. So starting off Section D, we have Adamant Dragons. So required is level 1 Slayer for this creature. The Slayer XP per hour is about 170k, so it's not really that much, but it is decent for a level 1 Slayer level. Also, the combat XP per hour is about 370k, so again, just average, and the GP per hour is 2 mil, which is quite low. Our next D-ranked creature is Aquantes. You do require level 78 Slayer to kill these, however you'll also need to purchase the ability to get these assigned for 50 Slayer points. Obviously, since they are on the D list, you don't really want to purchase this ability because they are a bad Slayer creature. The Slayer XP per hour is about 120k per hour, and then also the combat XP is about 350k. GP per hour is under 1 mil. However, one good thing about the Aquantes is that they actually do drop a lot of seeds and herbs, so if you do have the herbicide, you will get a decent amount of farming XP. I believe it's around 150k XP per hour. Our next creature is the Avalanches. These require level 1 Slayer. The Slayer XP per hour is really low, under 100k per hour, which means it's obviously one of the worst creatures. It's at 90k, combat XP per hour is 250k, and then you'll make around 1 mil GP per hour, so overall just a pretty bad creature. Next we have Black Demons. These also require level 1 Slayer. The Slayer XP per hour is a bit better, 150k, and then the combat XP per hour is 350k. Again, the drops from this creature are really low, which is what puts it at a D. You'll make less than 1 mil per hour doing this task, so it isn't really a great one, which is why it probably should be one on the block list. Next we have Black Dragons. These require level 1 Slayer as well. The Slayer XP per hour is 150k, the combat XP per hour is about 470k, and the GP per hour is under 1 mil, so overall this is another pretty bad task. Next we have Dagonoths. These require level 1 Slayer as well, and then also they do require the Horror from the Deep quest to be completed, and you need that completed to have these assigned to you. Now the Slayer XP per hour is about 100k, the combat XP per hour is about 350k, and the GP per hour is about 1 mil. You can kill the Dagonoth Kings for this task as well. However, again, they aren't really great XP per hour at least, and also the drops aren't worth that much. Now the next creature is the Ice Strike Worm. These are one of the better creatures on the D list. However, it does require level 93 Slayer to fight these, and also the Tale of the Muspa quest is also required for these to be assigned. The Slayer XP per hour is about 260k, so that is pretty decent for a D-ranked Slayer creature, and also the combat XP per hour is about 400k. GP per hour is kind of low at around 3 mil. Now I put it at a D because it does require level 93 Slayer, so if you are a high Slayer level, you don't really want to get Ice Strike Worms because obviously there isn't really that much GP per hour you can make here, and the XP per hour is fairly low compared to some other tasks. Now the next creature we have is Iron Dragon, so another metallic dragon on the D list. Required is level 1 Slayer again. Slayer XP per hour 140k, combat XP per hour about 380k, and you'll make less than 1 mil per hour. We also have the Mithril Dragons on the D ranking as well. Again, level 1 Slayer, 180k Slayer XP per hour, 600k combat XP per hour, which is quite high actually compared to a lot of these other creatures. And the GP per hour is under 1 mil per hour, which is what really hurts this creature. Next, we have another metallic dragon, this time being the Steel Dragon. Again, it requires a level 1 Slayer. You'll get around 170k Slayer XP per hour, so obviously the Slayer XP per hour is right around the same for all of these creatures. The combat XP per hour is about 360k, and again, you'll make less than 1 mil fighting this creature. Now moving on from our D ranking, we're going to look at some C ranked creatures. Now first off, we have the Automatons. These require level 67 Slayer as well as numerous quests, including the Ritual of the Maharet, the Firemaker's Curse, Branches of Darkmire, the Void Stares Back, and the Chosen Commander. Also the Slayer XP per hour is kind of average at 220k, combat XP per hour is about 420k, and the GP per hour is under 1 mil. Now our next creature is another dragon type creature. We have the Celestial Dragons. You do only require level 1 Slayer to fight these creatures. Also, it does require the one-of-a-kind quest to fight them as well. And the Slayer XP per hour is around 330k. The combat XP per hour is about 630k, and then the GP per hour is right around 1 mil, which is what really puts it at a C ranking. Now our next creature is Dark Beast. This again is one of the better C ranked creatures. It does require level 90 Slayer to fight. The Slayer XP per hour is kind of low compared to some of the better creatures at 250k XP per hour. The combat XP per hour is about 660k, and then the GP per hour around 3 mil for Dark Beasts. And these creatures also can be AFK'd, so that is another sort of pro for the Dark Beasts. Now the next creature on the list is Gargoyles. These require level 75 Slayer, and then the Slayer XP per hour is fairly low at 160k, combat XP 480k. Now the GP per hour is around 3 mil. Gargoyles do drop a lot of alkables, so that is pretty decent for a mid-level Slayer creature. Next we have Mutated Jadinkos. These require level 80 to 91 Slayer. There are various different Jadinkos that you can fight. The Slayer XP per hour is not great at 200k, but the combat XP per hour is fairly decent at 700k XP per hour. You can also make about 2 mil per hour fighting these creatures, and they can also be AFK'd. Mutated Jadinkos are also a pretty decent source for elite clue scrolls, so this does add another pro to these creatures. Now, the next creature we have is the Order of Ascension members. There are quite a few of these. Now, it does require level 81 to 95 Slayer. The Slayer XP per hour for these creatures are fairly low at just 130k XP per hour. And then the combat XP per hour is just over 500k. GP per hour is decent at 3 mil per hour, and they also can be AFK'd, which is what makes this creature just decent and at a C ranking. The next creature we have is the Tormented Demon. These can be killed at level 1 Slayer as well, however they also do require a payment of 50 Slayer points to have the chance of getting assigned Tormented Demons. You'll also need to complete the Wild Gothic Sleep quest, and then also the Slayer XP per hour is about 160k, the combat XP per hour is about 320k, but the real pro for these creatures is that the GP per hour is around 7 mil per hour. Also, Tormented Demons are one of the better creatures to place in your player-owned Slayer dungeon, and doing so will allow you to obtain these experience rates as well as the GP per hour. Now moving on to our last creature on the C ranking list, we have Firewatch. These require level 31 to 67 Slayer. and also does require the River of the Blood quest to fight the Virelords. The Slayer XP per hour is around 220k. The Combat XP per hour is about 430k. Also, they can be AFK'd pretty well, and the GP per hour is about 4 mil per hour. So it is just a decent Slayer creature in terms of the GP per hour, and also, of course, you can AFK them. And now we're going to move on to the B ranking creatures. So we're starting this section off with Camel Warriors. These require level 96 Slayer to kill. The Slayer XP per hour is pretty decent at 380k. And unlike a lot of these other creatures, you actually get less combat XP per hour fighting these creatures. You only get about 170k combat XP per hour, which is really strange to see that you get so much more Slayer XP than combat XP. But also these creatures do offer about 4 mil GP per hour. However, they do have some really tedious mechanics, and they are really annoying to fight. They do also drop the Raptor Key piece, which is another pro for these creatures. Now moving on to the next creature, we have Chaos Giants. These require level 1 Slayer and also the Birthright of the Dwarves quest. The Slayer XP per hour is pretty decent at 300k XP per hour. Combat XP per hour is about 600k, and then the GP per hour is fairly low for a B rank creature at 2 mil per hour, but I would say that the XP per hour does make up for this. Chaos Giants also do have a chance at dropping the Dragon Pickaxe, which is a unique feature about them. Our next creature on the list is Ganodermic creatures. These require level 96 Slayer to fight, and there is 2 different versions of them. You have the Ganodermic Beasts and also the Ganodermic Runts. Slayer XP per hour is pretty decent at 280k, and the Combat XP per hour is just over 500,000. And then you can also make about 4 mil per hour fighting these creatures. The next creature we have are Glaciers. These require level 1 Slayer to fight, and also the Ritual of Maharet quest. So as you guys have probably saw, there are quite a few Slayer creatures locked behind the Ritual of Maharet quest. But Glaciers, they are pretty good. They give Slayer XP of about 200k XP per hour and about 450k Combat XP per hour. So pretty average there, but what these creatures do offer is about 7 mil GP per hour, because they do drop the Steadfast, the Glaven, and the Ragefire boots, which are worth nearly 30 mil each. So that is where most of the profit comes from these creatures. And onto our next creature, we have the Greater Demon task. Now these require level 1 Slayer as well. And the Slayer XP per hour, this is based on killing Krill. So Krill is technically a Greater Demon, and so are the 3 bodyguards along with it. So you can complete this Greater Demon task solely at Krill, and it won't take that long. Usually it'll take approximately about half an hour, and the Slayer XP per hour is about 260k, and Combat XP per hour about 400k, and obviously Krill you make around 5 mil GP per hour. Next we have another pretty interesting task. We have the Calphites. These require level 1 to 100 Slayer, so 1 being just the regular Calphites, but you do have an option between just regular Calphites. You can kill Corrupted Calphites, which is what I would recommend. You can also kill Calphite Queen and Calphite King, so you can have a few boss options in here as well. Now the Slayer XP per hour is decent for the Corrupted Calphites at 280k, Combat XP per hour is about 400k, and then the GP per hour is right around 5 mil GP per hour. The next task we have is Lava Strikeworms. These are personally one of my favorite tasks, however they only are ranked at B. That is because the XP per hour is fairly low. So first off, they do require level 94 Slayer, so they are a really great Slayer creature to have on task around that level. Slayer XP per hour is about 270k, and then the Combat XP per hour is lower than that at 170k. But the real positive feature about these creatures is that you do make around 7 mil GP per hour. Now, they are located in the wilderness, so there is a risk towards killing these, but you don't actually need to bring some high-level gear to kill them. They're pretty easily killed in Royal Dragonhide. And then, obviously, they do also drop the Searing Ashes, which are worth about 60k each. If you do have the Elite Wilderness tasks done, these are also noted, so it really does come in handy in this task. You can make a ton of money off of. And moving on to our next task, we have Muspaz. These require level 76 Slayer to kill. The Slayer XP per hour is about 300k per hour. Also, combat XP per hour is about 680k. They're a really good creature for some consistent money. You'll consistently make about 4 mil GP per hour profit, and they are a very AFK-able creature. So it is just an overall decent Slayer task to obtain. Nihils are also a pretty good task to obtain as well. They do require level 76 Slayer and 50 Slayer points to have the ability to be assigned these tasks. The Slayer XP per hour is definitely on the low side at 150k, but the combat XP per hour is decent at 580k. Now the real positive about these creatures is that you do make about 7 mil GP per hour, most of the money coming off of the Nihil pouches, which you can make afterwards. The next creature we have are Rune Dragons. These require just the Ritual of Maharet quest and the Fate of the Gods quest to be assigned. Also, the Slayer XP per hour is about 220k. The combat XP per hour is at 450k per hour. The GP per hour that you make from these creatures is pretty decent as well. You make around 6 mil GP per hour. And this is from some unique drops. Rune Dragons drop the Steadfast Scale, the Glaven Wingtip, and the Ragefire Gland. They're all pretty rare drops, the Steadfast Scale being priced at about 15.5 mil right now. Also, Rune Dragons do have a few mechanics, so they are a bit more of an exciting creature to fight. Next, we have the Stalker creatures. These require level 71 to 99 Slayer, depending on which type of Stalker creature that you would like to fight. The Slayer XP per hour is based on the Soul Gazers at level 99 Slayer. You'll gain about 360k Slayer and combat XP per hour from these creatures, and then you'll also make about 3 mil per hour. Now moving on to some of the better Slayer creatures ranked in the A category. So first off, we have the Abyssal Demons. These obviously require level 85 Slayer. The Slayer XP per hour is decent at 300k. The combat XP per hour is really good, so you get about 720k combat XP per hour. They're an extremely AFK creature, and you can also make about 4 mil GP per hour. You could probably even up it to about 5 mil per hour if you do have one of the newer relics called the Death Note, which will drop all of the ashes the Abyssal Demons do drop. The next creature ranked at A is the Acheron Mammoths. These require level 96 Slayer to kill. The Slayer XP per hour is really good if you are killing them efficiently at about 700k Slayer XP per hour. Combat XP per hour is about 400k, and then the GP per hour is about 4 mil. They also do drop the Raptor Key pieces. Now, this could probably be an S tier creature, but based on my own personal preference, I'm not a big fan of these creatures. You do have to pay a lot of attention when fighting these creatures that do have some mechanics that you need to be wary about, and that they can instant kill you if you are fairly low on health. Now overall, they are obviously a really great Slayer creature anyway. Now moving on to our next Slayer creature, we have Eruts. These are unlocked at level 92 Slayer, and the Slayer XP per hour is really good at 400k. You can also make about 1 mil combat XP per hour as well, along with about 5 mil GP per hour, and you can obtain all of this using the cannon at the location in Mazcab. Now you will need to pay a bit of attention since the Eruts do deal a decent amount of damage every once in a while, but overall it is a semi-AFK method, and you get some really good XP and GP per hour from them. And so next we have dinosaurs. These require level 90 to 114 Slayer. They're all located on Anachronia, and you have 4 options of dinosaurs, being the Pharaoh dinosaur, the Brutish dinosaur, a Venomous dinosaur, and the Ripper dinosaur. Now the Slayer XP per hour does vary slightly on a lot of these creatures. If you're looking to make the most Slayer XP per hour, then you're probably going to want to kill the Venomous dinosaurs. These are also really AFK. They're my preferred creature when I get a dinosaur task. Also, the feral dinosaurs are pretty good. You can make about 4 mil GP per hour fighting these, and the Slayer XP per hour is pretty decent, and the combat XP per hour is actually the best. Now moving on to our next creature, we have the Gemstone Dragons. These require level 95 to 101 Slayer. You also have the option between the Dragonstone Onyx and the Hydrix Dragons, the Hydrix Dragons being the best at 101 Slayer. You can get about 660k Slayer XP per hour, as well as 640k Combat XP per hour fighting these Hydrix Dragons. The GP per hour, however, is pretty low at 2 mil per hour, so that's why it's an A and not an S tier ranking. You also do have to pay to kill these dragons. You have to pay an entrance fee of gemstones, either a Dragonstone, Onyx, or Hydrix. Usually the cost per kill is about 5 to 7k, which really does cut into the profit. Next we have Calgarian Demons. These require level 90 Slayer and level 90 Dungeoneering to fight. Also the Slayer XP per hour, you'll get around 420k, as well as 400k Combat XP per hour. GP per hour is pretty good at about 6 mil, and also these are really good creatures to place in the player-owned Slayer dungeon. And this is because if they are in your player-owned Slayer dungeon, they won't actually use their special attacks, or at least they won't have any effect, which does make them a lot easier to kill. Next we have Living Wyverns unlocked at level 96 Slayer. You can get around 420k Slayer and Combat XP per hour fighting these creatures. The GP per hour is about 7 mil per hour, and they also do drop the Raptor Key pieces. Now, these creatures also do have various mechanics that do seem difficult at first, but you can get the hang of them, and they aren't really that difficult once you do have a bit of practice. Some of these mechanics include a cold mechanic, where you will need to light a fire nearby just to warm yourself up, or else you'll take a little bit too much damage. They also do poison you, and does go through anti-poison, so there's a lot of mechanics like that that you do need to be cautious about, but they are a pretty good Slayer creature overall. Our next A-ranked creature is Shadow Creatures. These require only level 1 Slayer, but the Slayer XP per hour is exceptionally good at 620k. Now this is only if you do place them in the player-owned Slayer dungeon. If not, Shadow Creatures aren't really that great. But they are definitely one of the better creatures to place in the player-owned Slayer dungeon, just because you can get the XP per hour exceptionally high if you do this. So you will want to place 5 of the highest level Shadow Creatures, which are the Manifest Shadows, in your player-owned Slayer dungeon to obtain these stats. The downside about these is that you only make around 1 mil GP per hour. The drops aren't really that great, but they're more of a creature for the Slayer XP. The next creature on the list is Vileblooms. These are also ranked at an A. They do require level 90 to 110 Slayer, and you also do have the 4 options of Vileblooms. So you have Devil's Snare at level 90 Slayer. Then you also have the Luminous Snagglers, which are my preferred Vilebloom creature. These are unlocked at level 95 Slayer. The Lampenflora are unlocked at 102 Slayer. And the Liverworts are unlocked at 110 Slayer, which obviously give the most Slayer XP per hour. Now moving on to our S tier, which are all of the best Slayer tasks assigned by Laniakea. Now moving on to our first S tier task, we have the Corrupted Creature task. These require level 88 to 104 Slayer, and you do have the option between 7 Corrupted Creatures, the Corrupted Workers being the highest level Corrupted Creature and the best one to kill. Now the Slayer XP per hour is about 470k, and you'll also get about 700k Combat XP per hour. GP per hour is also really good at 5 mil per hour, and they are extremely AFK, especially because you don't have to pick up the drops. All of the drops will go to the Sophanum Slayer Dungeon chest, and the only drops you need to pick up are the Keys to the Crossing, which you will obtain every once in a while, and those too are also priced really high at about 500 or 600k usually. On to our next S-ranked task, we have the Crystal Shapeshifters. These require level 80 Slayer to kill, and the Slayer XP per hour and Combat XP per hour are really high at 450k and 950k. You can also make about 6 mil GP per hour, and they are best when placed in the player-owned Slayer dungeon. That is how you will get this amount of Combat XP per hour, as well as the GP per hour. Now they are best in the player-owned Slayer dungeon because they will always spawn in one style, that is if you are using Soul Split and not a Protection Prayer. Also you can AFK them this way, you can toggle them to be automatically aggressive. They are a really great task because they can be AFK'd, they're at least semi-AFK, and the Slayer XP is also really great, and the GP per hour is exceptional as well. This next S rank task is by far my favorite Slayer task in the game. It's the Dragon Cluster task, and it is because you can get an insane amount of Slayer XP per hour. You can get up to 1 mil Slayer XP per hour, along with 2 mil combat XP per hour, as well as 8 mil GP per hour. And this is all obtainable doing the Elite Dungeon 2 runs on this task. Now, preferably you will do these Elite Dungeon 2 runs as a solo, that way all of the dragon kills will count towards your task. But you can also do a duo as well. You'll get about half of the dragons count towards the task. Usually it will take about 1 to 2 runs solo, and then about 2 to 4 runs duo. This task also allows you to do quite a bit of bossing as well. Elite Dungeon 2 is basically primarily dragons, so you will be able to complete this task pretty quickly and also have some fun doing Elite Dungeons and even doing it with some friends as well, if you don't mind taking a bit longer on the Slayer task. The next S rank task is Edamu. Now, Edamu does have some really high requirements. You will require level 90 Slayer as well as 115 Dungeoneering, so they are a pretty prestigious task in terms of requirements. The Slayer XP per hour is pretty good at 440k. Combat XP per hour is also really good at 770k, but the best thing about this task is the GP per hour. You can make up to 15 mil GP per hour, mostly because you can get the blood necklace shards, which you have a drop rate in 1 in 512, and the price of these shards are listed at about 16 mil each right now. Our next S rank task is Elves, and this is also one of my preferred tasks. They only require level 1 Slayer, but you will also need Prifddinas unlocked. That way you can fight the Iworth Scouts. The Slayer XP per hour and Combat XP per hour are really great at about 630k each. And then also the GP per hour is also just really great as well, 6 mil per hour there. Now, the thing I really like about this task is that it is very AFK, so you can get some really high Slayer XP per hour as well as some pretty good GP per hour, all AFKable. Next, we have Lost Grove creatures. These require level 104 to 108 Slayer, and the combat XP per hour as well as the Slayer XP per hour is really high. So you can make about 1.2 mil Slayer XP per hour and 1.5 mil combat XP per hour, as well as 10 mil GP per hour fighting moss golems with a cannon and aggression potions. Now, this method is very risky and you do require some really high level gear, but it is possible and it is maintainable as well, and you can get these XP rates, which are just insane, along with that GP per hour. Since Lost Grove creatures do drop the Cinderbane gloves as well as the Elven Ritual Shard, both unique drops which are worth quite a bit. The next S-ranked creature is the Nightmare creatures. These require level 80 Slayer to kill, and also the Children of Ma quest. And also you will need to pay 50 Slayer points just to have the ability to get these assigned to you. Slayer XP per hour is really great at 570k, and the combat XP per hour is about 730k, so also really great as well. Your GP per hour here is really great. It's about 7 mil per hour. They do drop a lot of alchemies and notable drops, but they also do have the chance at dropping the Nightmare Gauntlets. It's a 1 in 2,000 chance on task, and these gauntlets are priced at about 48 mil right now. Next, we have Ripper Demons. These require level 96 Slayer to kill, and also you'll get about 580k and 460k Slayer and combat XP per hour. You can make about 10 mil per hour doing this. Now, you make this much money if you are making the binding contracts. To make these contracts, there are a few other requirements, being 68 archaeology, as well as completing all the mysteries in the Infernal Source. The Ripper Demons also do drop the Raptor keys as well. Overall, they're just an excellent Slayer creature, especially if you are making these binding contracts, just because the GP per hour is insane. And onto our last S-tier creature, we have the Soul Devourers. So you will require level 105 to 117 Slayer to fight these. You'll have the option between 9 different creatures, including the Magister. So if you want to fight a boss with this task, you can do that as well. The Slayer XP per hour is really great at 620k, and also you get about 460k combat XP per hour. That is based on fighting the Gorilla Axe as well. The GP per hour is about 5 mil per hour just for the Soul Devourers. It's really nice because in the Sophanum Slayer dungeon, again, all of your drops automatically go to the treasure chest, so you don't need to pick them up. You'll just need to pick up the Keys to the Crossing, which you will obtain at a drop rate of 1 in 75 while on task. And so there you have it. Those are my rankings for each of the 46 Slayer tasks assigned by Laniakea. Let me know in the comments down below if you guys agree with my rankings. If not, let me know which ones you will switch around. Again, these rankings were partly based off of my own perspective, so obviously a lot of your guys' rankings will be slightly different. If you guys did enjoy this video, let me know in the comments down below and hit that thumbs up button. I really do want to make a lot more tier list videos, so let me know if you like this sort of video style. I know this video was really long, so if you guys did stay to the end, make sure you do subscribe to the channel for more RuneScape 3 content. Anyway guys, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you all in the next one. Peace.